One of my goals for 2018 was to review more foreign language movies. The reason why is because I want, to get more of an experience when it comes to culture and, the different types of movies that are available that are not in the English language department. So without further ado, let's start off this list at number 5, which is On Body and Soul, which is a film from Hungary that was at the 2017 Berlin Film Festival, winning its top prize. And it's about this man who works at a slaughterhouse, who is in charge of the business side of things, when he meets up with the new beef inspector, who happens to be a young woman, and they form some sort of a connection via their dreams and via their work relationship. Now, this film is only available on Netflix, at least in the United States, in order to check it out, which is pretty unique since most of the foreign language nominees on this list are only available in theaters or maybe on digital or DVD, maybe if you're watching this in the future. But anyhow, why do I consider this the weakest nominee on the list? I guess it's because of the story, really. Now, to be honest, I wasn't really invested in the story that much. Why? Because there's not really much of a story to begin with. I mean, sure, the characters are somewhat interesting, but we don't get enough background on them to really, be invested with them. Plus, the way the story is constructed, they kind of, really introduce the main drive of the story sort of in the second half of the film, and they don't really develop it to the point where I feel like I'd be satisfied with it. I mean, the ending kind of explains some things in a sense, but by the end of the film, you're just already kind of tuned out of what's going on throughout it. I mean, there is a subplot that has to do with the company, and that's pretty interesting. And the characters themselves, especially in the acting, are not bad. The shot composition's really well done, although there are some scenes in the film that I think could have been cut out, definitely, because they just didn't fit with the overall tone of the film. So it's not a bad film per se, but I wouldn't consider it, an Oscar nominee. If you want a film that you should check out that should have been nominated, go watch In the Fate of Diane Kruger. That's a really well done film. Alright, coming in at number 4, we have The Square. Now, I'm going to be brief on this one since I already did a review of The Square, which you can check in the link in the description below. But anyhow, I ended up sort of liking The Square a little bit better now after seeing On Body and Soul, and I guess that's because The Square, while it's not one of the best films that I saw in 2017, it really got me thinking about the overall tone and the perception that modern art has on our community and on our society in general, and how strange this film is. While it doesn't make sense in a lot of parts, I could definitely say that this film is unique and it stands out from the rest of its competition. Do I think it deserves the Palme d'Or? Absolutely not, but I do think that this is a film that is really, even if you end up hating this film, I would actually recommend seeing it just because, of what it has to offer to the table in terms of its uniqueness and what it has to say about our society. Okay, number 3 is Loveless. Now, this is a pretty close spot with number 2, but with Loveless, I have to say that this film is absolutely depressing. And it's not only depressing, but it's just draining. Now, I'm not going to explain what this movie's about because I want you to go in as blind as I was during this experience of Loveless, but it's from the same director as Leviathan, and all I can say is that this film, it made me cry at near points. It was just that emotionally just, draining. It was emotionally, it was almost a sabotage on happiness, to say the least. I mean, this film is a near masterpiece in my eyes about how it depicts grief, how it depicts, depression. And I really wish I could talk more about this movie, but, you really have to see it for yourself to believe it. It's one of those experiences. If you want me to do a spoiler review of the film, let me know in the comments down below. Alright, number 2 is The Insult. Now, this film is really close with Loveless in terms of, how good it is, but this film, I can explain what it's about. It takes place in Lebanon, and it's about, how this one Palestinian, construction worker insults, a Lebanese Christian, homeowner, and how, the conflict escalates from there, and it ends up going to court, it ends up becoming a national scandal, and this film overall has a very dark and serious tone, but there are some elements of, light humor in there that really brighten up the spirit of the film. And I think really what makes the insult, so relevant and so impactful is that this movie really doesn't hold back. It doesn't try to sugarcoat the issue, and it doesn't take a particular side either. It gives you a 50-50 perspective on things, and it really just shows you how the media loves to overhype problems and how the people involved sometimes want a simple solution. So yeah, The Insult I think is definitely one of the more underrated films in this year's Oscar race, and I would highly recommend checking it out. But my number one favorite foreign language nominee this year, without a doubt, is A Fantastic Woman. Now, with A Fantastic Woman, this film is absolutely incredible. So to give a brief description, this film is about a transgender woman in Chile whose older boyfriend dies, and how the family doesn't want to have anything to do with her in their lives. And it's about her trying to get involved in their lives, sort of, at the same time her trying to move on from the death of her boyfriend. And the way it's captured and the way the environment really matches up with her lifestyle in the film is just, I don't even know what to say. It's one of the best films of 2017. I mean, I don't want to say much now because I'm going to save it for a later video, but Fantastic Woman really does everything a film should do. It has a great soundtrack, fantastic acting, and the cinematography is mind-blowing to say the least. I'm sorry if I'm vague on A Fantastic Woman, but I want to save my full thoughts on this for a later video. So, quick predictions on what I think is going to win the best foreign language. I think it's going to go to Square because, again, it has to do with the art community, and it is very, a Palme d'Or winner, so very impactful there. But what I think should win, obviously, Fantastic Woman, because I think it was definitely the best out of all the nominees. But what did you guys think of these nominees? Have you seen any of them? Let me know in the comments down below, and see you all around.